Welcome to my channel. As usual, in December I start to film all my collection of coloring book. My collection is huge, so there will be a lot of videos, and traditionally I start from the books where their subjects are my favorites. And you know that I love to color pictures with cute animals, and today we will look at three artists. This one, it's Korean book called The Day We Finally Met. It's already quite a rare book. It's a pity because pictures here are very sweet, very nice, and well, I have this book already for several years. Unfortunately, my relationship with this book is a little bit tensed because first I wasn't able to get used to the paper. I did first page with Prismacolors and it was okay, but many pictures here are landscapes. I started to use watercolor, it was a disaster, and it somehow it really disappointed me, this watercolor background, so I stopped to color here at all. And for a long time I had here only two pictures. The first one was not bad. Here I used polychromoses for roses and Prismacolors for the grass, for the cats, but well, it was a little bit, I don't know, time consuming to do all these areas with pencils. Also, I wanted to test other materials, so that's why I did that watercolor background. I realized that it's totally impossible to work here with watercolor, and I abandoned it. When I grabbed this book next time, I did another stupid thing. Here I did this a very small picture. It could be done very quickly if you select the right pencils, but here I grabbed Mitsubishi Uno pencils which I already have for several years, and for these pencils I still can't find the right kind of paper. Maybe paper with bigger tools may be better for them, but still their blending, for me, it's something awful. They are very vibrant, they have amazing colors, but for me they are so waxy that I totally can't blend them properly. And also I press quite hard with them, so when I did even this small picture, my hand started to feel tired and even hurt. Well, so it was the second reason why I abandoned it. Then my next return to this book was in the last year in March or April, when I didn't have many books with me after beginning of the war. I had only several books, and I decided that maybe it's a good opportunity to color something here. So I grabbed this one when I packed my things, but unfortunately I also haven't done many pictures. But at least pictures which I done, I love them. I realized that here in the beginning we have illustrations to the famous children's rhymes, Hush Little Baby, and here we have illustrations for the first words. Here was very nice to color this fabric because artist is very talented, of course very talented in depicting fur, all animals which we have in this book, but also in beautiful dresses and botanical elements. So everything depicted here quite well. And for pencils, paper is great. So if you are a patient person and you can do the full size page with just pencils, I can recommend this book. As I said, unfortunately now it's quite rare, but maybe it's still possible to find it somewhere on Japanese Amazon, I don't know. And that was the second spread for the same Hush Little Baby lyric. I remember that here I even experimented with Arteza pencils. For bigger areas where you don't need complicated shading, like this grass where I simply used 2 shades of green here or here. You can even use Arteza or other budget pencils to save your more professional pencils. Here I didn't know how to finish pages, so area with text would match somehow area with picture. And now maybe one day I will continue, and if I continue, I think that it will be either from this spread which is still about Hush Little Baby, or maybe I will do a winter picture as I promised myself, because here we have adorable Christmas picture with raccoons, but I'm not sure. Still, when I look at this book, I have those memories of all the hard time which I had with it, so maybe I need to find more courage in me. Second book is much easier to color, and here it's a big shame for myself that I hadn't colored it again after the April of the last year. I got it, I was crazy happy. Paper here is really good. I did one page which I absolutely loved with Prismacolors, and they blended here really well. I'm very proud of this one. Everything here I love, starting from the tree. I hope that those area of the leaves doesn't look very flat. It's my usual problem, shading on the leaves. Then even background with pencils was easy to do. I absolutely love this cat in jeans clothes, and it was fun to color all vegetables. To test paper, I did next page mostly with polychromoses, this area, and only for the stones you can recognize French grays from Prismacolor, so it's a mix. Polychromoses also are good for this paper, so quality of the book is excellent. This one is much more easier to get. There are first volume and there are second volume, where apart from this cute family of cats there is also tiger, and I really wanted this book, but when I look at this one where I did only 2 pictures and I started a third, and then something happened in my life, so something distracted me, so I hadn't finished it. So when I look at this book, I tell myself that I simply can't allow myself to purchase second volume if in the first one I did only 2 pictures. But I hope that as an excuse during this winter I can do this one and this one. This one will be good either for January or February, because it's not exactly Christmassy, only lamps, but I think that garlands we use during the whole winter to make our rooms more cheerful. So I really hope that until Christmas of this year I will color this beauty. Even for beginners it will be quite easy to do, because cats are not big. This one is frightening because you need to do fur everywhere, but here on smaller cats I think that it will be easier, and I hope that it will be a moment when I finally start to color in this book more actively. So if you love books by K.Egusa, I can highly recommend this book by Grace G. And also she has amazing full color paintings on her Instagram show, so I also recommend to subscribe to her Instagram. I have actually many similar subscriptions where people do full color paintings for animals similar in this style, and yeah, they are very inspiring, and they remind me that even if I can't paint, if I can't draw, I can color something if I love the style. So why I don't color in those books more frequently, I don't know. And my only excuse is that this whole year I mostly dedicated my attention to the Symphony by K.Egusa. Here maybe my progress isn't great, but with the amount of books I own, to color at least several pictures in one book, for me it's already a big progress. Let's start from this spread. Here on the right side, I called it Symphony in Lilac and Blue. Mostly I decided to color it because I really wanted to do all those flowers, different varieties. Then I somehow decided to do background with cheap Castle Art pastel tint pencils. I love pastel tint pencils, but definitely not on this paper. They glided over surface, they didn't want to blend, but I used them as a first layer, and as a second layer I used Prismacolor, and Prismacolor Lilac and Blue Violet Lake helped me to blend everything, so ugly pencil strokes now are invisible. My favorite element here is those flowers. I know that in real life they can be in many colors. I selected this variety with beautiful gradient from blue into violet blue, and when I blended everything with white Prisma, it helped me to get this really nice and I think that very realistic effect on the petals, so they are definitely my favorites. Well, in K.Egusa books it's always easy to draw, to color animals, because we have already a little bit of shading where she shows us direction of the fur growth, and yeah, I decided to make a little deer Bambi in more orange colors to make difference with the fur of mother, where I used bigger amount of brown colors. Here usually I start from the background, but here I started from this spring OS. Well, everything went well. I was very proud of the unusual turquoise blue eggs. I did flowers. The only flowers where I had problems were lily of the valleys. I still don't know how to shade them, to use gray, to use pale sage, to use light blue for shading, so I still experiment. But the rest of flowers, especially those yellow and pink, they were a pleasure to color. When I colored everything, I realized that I need to do background. And I have no idea why I selected this turquoise blue. That's why I don't like to postpone doing backgrounds, that on the last step you can mess up with the whole image. I don't say that it's messed up, but if I would use light green, everything will be first, everything would have more spring spirit, like very light green, fresh green of spring, and also it wouldn't mess up with the color of the eggs, because previously eggs had paler color and they totally matched color of the background, so I had to make them brighter in the end. That's why I prefer to do background first and then to match the rest of the colors to the color of the background. And that's also why I tell myself that it's not very good thing to rush. If I would postpone doing the background, when you do such a picture, you spend a couple of hours coloring, you feel tired, you want to finish quicker, and yes, I love this color and it's pleasant, but I simply didn't think about how it would match with the rest of the elements. Why I hadn't used something like May green, similar to this one, I don't know. So it's better to wait, maybe to return to this page next day, to look at it with fresh eyes and to finish it with better results. Now let's try to find other pictures which I have here. It's one of my favorites. Here I love everything, any critics at all from my side. I love this ultramarine background. Usually I don't use this exact shade of blue for the background, but here I think that it worked really well. I think that here we have evening atmosphere and Bear is a host, maybe he has a new house, so he invited all his friends to show them for them a welcoming party. I think that all those yellow ginger root moss green leaves, they really look quite nice against this blue background, together with red wigwam. This classic color combo, white, blue and yellow, that's probably why it looks so nice. And to color all animals, it was fun. I tried to find again different color combos for different fur, more orange, more brown with gray, more various shades of espresso, warm gray and French gray, so it also was quite instructive. It's also quite nice. Here I just experienced some problems with Prismacolor pencils. They lay down blotchy here on the pumpkins, and they lay down quite well for the rest of the page. I'm still confused with this paper, so I complain every time when I start doing something here. But the look of this page I love. Very nice frame made from stones. I decided to make it in this very calm, muted colors, so all our attention goes to the central part, and of course all these adorable things. I decided to make it like magical potion, not simple soup or something edible. And I love all these small details, tiny glass bottles, this metal kettle, very nicely depicted picture by K.Egusa, and it was a pleasure to color it. That was my first picture which I did in this book, and where I realized that paper, maybe it feels similar to Menuet, but for me it's totally different, and where in Menuet and Rhapsody I can use Prismacolors, here I have much bigger problems, and when I put darker color on top of even similar light color, somehow they create dirt, so you need to think more carefully about all your contrasts, about all your color combos. Similar problem I had when I started to shade grapes, so I was confused. But nevertheless, I love this one. I love faces of mice. They have maybe first date, so both of them are very nicely closed. I really try to show how fashionable they are. As usual, I don't know how to color strawberries, that's my big problem, but I try to watch videos, so I hope that my next strawberry will be better. The rest of berries and fruits, I think that they look better. Actually, when I just started to color in this book, I experimented with various pencils. I think that somewhere here was also a picture which I did. Maybe it will be a later picture which I did with polychromasis, and it was such a nightmare that I promised myself that no, even if Prismacolors are not perfect, still I will continue to work with Prismacolors. Well, and now this picture doesn't want to show you, doesn't want to appear. Okay, I will return in a moment. Here, this crazy page, I started it because I really needed something quick to color. I hope that all those small animals, they could be like individual projects, but I started from the background. There are green polychromos pencils from May green into permanent green olive or something like this, and even on the background I wasn't able to lay them smoothly, and on the animals, on the golden elements, which usually are quite easy for me to color, I had some such problems with these pencils. Again, I had to press harder, my hand started to hurt, it was very difficult to get rid of the pencil strokes. So after this one, even if I love colors of polychromos pencils, sometimes they are maybe better matching style of these pictures. No, for the sake of my health, for my hands, I decided that I will be coloring with Prismacolors here. Maybe my favorite spread here is this one, which I finished during this summer. I started from the right, but I fall in love with the whole spread, so I did both pages. Here, for several days, I wasn't able to decide which color to use for the outer part of the background. I think that both blue background would look nice or sand color, so in the end I simply divided it into two areas, and between blue and sand I put a little bit of white to imitate form from the waves. And I think that, yeah, it's a nice decision. At least it made my page more unique, because I saw pictures by other colorists both with sand color for the background and with blue. Well, I also used different color combos for the sand, much more pale pastel color for the outer part and much more yellowish, even yellow-brown for the sand castle. In such way, again, I try to attract more attention to the central part. And this one, it was challenging, but it was a pleasure from the first until the last moment. I'm not sure that I did all those cocktails where we can see through them and to see pieces, cubes of ice and various fruits. Maybe I didn't color them 100% correctly, maybe I needed more highlights, but I still think that, as I don't color such things very frequently, for the first attempt it was nice. It was also first attempt for me to do big area of ice cream, because previously if I did ice creams they were like tiny. Somewhere to do texture of ice cream, it was the first time for me, and it's very colorful, so I tried to at least to use several colors repeatedly, like a little bit of pink here and here, a little bit of violet here and here, and just look at all those mice and all those these yummy things. Great picture. And yeah, I was proud of my pineapple. I think that I already did pineapple several years ago and it looked much worse. I think that this one looks quite realistic together with texture of cocoa and orange, so here I'm really proud of myself. That's another easy picture, because majority of it's background with various patterns, nice patterns. I don't know what to say. I think that here I used together polychromasis and Prismacolors, and that's where I started to feel that both brands are quite complicated here. You know that I love to color birds, so when I can find beautiful birds, especially together with tropical flowers, of course I select such picture. But here I decided to experiment, and apart from traditional green color combos, I decided to add also a little bit of yellow, lilac and even peach to the leaves. Somewhere like here, I love this effect. Violet looks a little bit strange, but I'm glad that I did it, because I need to find some new ways, and for tropical pictures I think that you can be a little bit more adventurous with colors, both with flowers and leaves. My favorites here is this red arrow and those purple, dark purple orchids. Another one which I finished 2 months ago, months ago, I don't remember. Here Prismacolors for everything. Here I again experimented with leaves. I added this texture. I think that it went quite well. In the beginning I was thinking that maybe those passion fruit flowers, maybe they are too vibrant, but for chameleons it's a good thing, because they can mask, they can hide because behind those bright flowers. I colored chameleons on the last step. Everything else already was ready, and I decided to use a little bit of the same greens as I used for the leaves, so they can mask among the leaves, and to use one unique color, this cobalt turquoise, to make them at least slightly visible. And of course black hat also helps not to lose them completely among the leaves. Next I have picture which I still need to finish. Here I had bloggers problems. I started to do it and I really wanted to color this very elegant frog. I even know the name of the frog. I imagined myself, but then I had problems with my video. I had problems with blending this yellow color, but on video it looked even worse. So until I managed to improve the quality of that video, it's still somewhere on my laptop, I decided that I need to postpone coloring the frog also, because I don't want to return to it with negative feelings. Here I have this summer spread where I practiced how to color poppies which wouldn't look flat, and I think that I finally managed to do it. I especially love this variety where they have gradient from orange into red, but this one are also not bad. Here I was a little bit afraid that such a active, vibrant frame would distract attention from the landscape inside, but now I think that it's not bad. I tried at least to use some different color for this wildflower, so they would also attract attention to the bunnies together with the yellow ribbons. And to make more well-balanced page, similar yellow I put here on the background. It's mix of polychromos and Prismacolor pencils. Mostly polychromoses are green colors. You know that I prefer green polychromoses. I consider them more natural looking for flowers, for botanical elements. That was my Easter project again, where I did background on the last step and almost ruined my page. Here I totally fall in love with these small projects where you can do like 5 small pictures. I tried to do at least couple of pairs, like 2 yellow backgrounds, 2 pink and 1 blue violet. So it was okay. I practiced how to color various colors of tulips, but then I wanted for the background, I didn't want to leave it white, but I also didn't want to do something with pencils, and I used Arctic's acrylic marker with brush, so I hope that it would be quite helpful for the background. But unfortunately, when you color one time with it for smaller area, it looks great, but when you color bigger area and even when you put 2 layers, these borders they immediately start to be visible. 2 layers look darker comparing to 1 layer. Strokes of the brush also are visible, so I was afraid that everything could be ruined. But after drying, well, I can see those spots, but still, because of the brightness of the picture, I don't think that it's a huge problem. Another spread of which I am extremely proud of, it's this one. Both pictures I love, mostly because I used a lot of my favorite colors, all those lilac, purple, lavender together with blue, and they always look nice together with a lot of yellow. So it was a long story because each of these tiny yellow sphere I colored with couple of shades of yellow, sometimes even with 3. Then on the leaves there are also several shades of green. Everything I did with pencils here, so it was a long story, but I think that in the end everything worked quite well. But my main moment of self-proud was when I did this one. First, I really love how I did those birch trees and how I did all those bushes and trees behind. I think that we can see perspective here, depth in the forest, and even if those flowers maybe they are extremely bright, but I had a lot of pleasure by doing them. I think that three main colors look nice together. In the beginning I was confused and my family divided into two groups. Some told that maybe it's a small bear, like small cube. And I somehow was convinced that maybe it's young fox, and I decided that I want to color fox, mostly because I didn't want to color brown or black bear, and orange fox matched the rest of the landscape and flowers better. And when I started to color it, half of the inside, in the middle of the coloring process, it somehow looked like cat. Then when I did longer nose, it finally started to look like fox. It also looked like raccoon. Oh well. So I was a little bit preoccupied, but now when I look at it, I think that it's one of the best animals portraits which I ever did. So yeah, this spread is one of my best which I finished this year. Yes, that's all for Symphony, so now we will move to Menuet and Rhapsody. I am guilty that I spent much more time this year with Symphony comparing to Menuet and Rhapsody. Previously Menuet was my favorite, but I love Symphony because it has smaller size, and I think that compositions here and subjects here, they are more interesting. So I saw big growth of K.Egusa between Rhapsody and Menuet. For me, Menuet is much better. And between Menuet and Symphony also. The only problem here is paper, but now I think that I somehow managed to work here with Prismacolors. It's not such a pleasure as in Menuet, but I can do it, and beauty of pictures, of course, it's much more important. Menuet de Bonheur still holds a huge place in my heart. Here in this book, everything so nicely connected, beautiful designs, very good paper, a lot of various subjects, so very good compositions, more delicate line art comparing to Rhapsody. Honestly, I don't even remember which pictures are from which year, so let's have a quick look at the current state of my Menuet de Bonheur. I am glad that majority of my finished pictures, they are in the beginning, and several first spreads, they are already finished. Many of them I consider as one of my best works, very unusual for me, for color palette like this color wallpapers, and I have a lot of sweet memories how I struggled with some elements, how to select color for the fur for each of the members of cat family or bunny family, how to select colors for grandma so she wouldn't be lost. On several pictures I even managed to do a watercolor background like this one here. Actually this very dark wine red, brown red, it's a watercolor with minimal amount of water, and I think that it created very good contrast to the spring flowers. Here I did background only with Prismacolor pencils, and it's one of the few books where I totally don't mind to do background with pencils. And when I look at it, I know that I have so many sweet hours in front of me when I finally will be ready to do this huge spread, for example, or this beauty. Actually, many pages are quite old, but I still love them, like this spread with market. For me, it was a huge experience how to color metal, wood, various animals, and of course balloons. I remember how I studied reference pictures for balloons. They still are far from perfect, but I think that they also look, well, at least partly realistic. This one is nice. I love this color which I selected for the wall. Maybe I will use it for my next project, for the Christmas picture. When I color these interiors, those rooms, I try to vary color for the wallpaper, but color of the fur I repeat. It also was quite nice, not easy to select what to do with the background. I didn't want to leave it empty, and in the same time I didn't want to do something very intense, complicated, to distract attention from the hummingbirds and beautiful grass. So these shades of green, this gradient from gray green into dark green, I think that it's really not a bad choice. It also was a good spread. I postponed to color it because I already saw so many nicely colored pictures, and I wasn't sure that I can do something from myself, not copying other persons. But now I did it, and I think that both pictures look quite nice. Of course, the left one is more complicated again because of the pencil background. Here it was easier to color a wall between stones. But each picture has some easier and more complicated areas. But I don't think that K.Egusa books, they are very difficult. I think that even beginners can color here and to do very nice pictures. Animals are not big, and a very helpful shading provided by K.Egusa. I really love this one. I think that color palette is quite good for the nursery, it's quite calming, and I am glad that I did this dark ultramarine windows. They created good contrast to the wallpapers, to the bed, and it's one of my favorite winter pictures. My lovely cat, I consider it as one of my best ever finished pictures, because it was the first time when I realized how I can do reflection in the surface of the glass. So it was a very memorable moment. Here I tried to copy ideas by Shirley, you know the channel on YouTube, Shirley XY, and of course her picture is much more beautiful because she is capable to draw beautiful flowers. I was able to add only few of them, the most simplified shapes, but I still am very grateful for the idea, for the inspiration, for the color palette. It's such an old work, but I still think that the wooden frame looks quite nice. I don't know how I managed to do it. I need to watch video. That's my last work in this book. For the long time I wanted to do it, but I was a little bit unsure what to do with the sky, because those flowers, they were okay, but it looked a little bit empty, and even now I am not sure if it was a good thing that I added a little bit of additional wisteria flowers, like somewhere far from us. They look, well, not matching the style of K.Egusa picture. But what I love is how I did this temple and colors which I selected for the wall and for the roof. I think that they are bright, and in the same time they created nice background for the fashionable geisha rabbit. I really need to color more in this Japanese part of the book, because here I have many beautiful but empty pictures. my Alice in Wonderland. You know that I love this theme, but here my biggest struggle was what to do with the background. And if you look here, that's how I tried to show the glass wall between Wonderland and real world. Yeah, without something complicated like real shading or reflection in the wall, but I think that it also was better rather than covering everything with just one color. And I don't know why I hadn't covered lines on the white china. Maybe I didn't have nice white pen because it's all very old work. This one I remember I did last year. It wasn't an easy time for me, but I remember that this spread gave me a lot of nice moments. It was a little bit sad that part of this beautiful picture went into the binding, and this cat, it looked like it's pressed half of the cat, but the rest of it I really love. And here I definitely need to color more of these cutest tiny pictures in the end. These pictures, they taught me how different it is when you color on the toned paper rather than on the white. It's totally different experience, and maybe when my life will be calmer, I will continue my experiments to print on the toned paper and to color pictures. And the last book in this video will be a Rhapsody. And finally, a Rhapsody. I love Rhapsody even if among the three books this one is the weakest. And you can clearly see that some of the pictures were made like digital collages with duplicated images and just slightly resized. But still many pictures are good and I enjoyed coloring here. My only complaint here is that some of the pictures are done with very delicate line art, like this title page for example, and many other pictures, like the spread which I want to color already for a long time. It has much thicker black lines, which I would prefer to mask, but I imagine how much of my Posca pen ink I will need here. And also I'm not a big fan of these randomly flying leaves and flowers which we can see on many pictures, and especially when they are not reasonable in size comparing to the size of the cat or size of the bird, for example. I think that it's also a little bit of disappointment for this spread, but it's nice, so I'm sure that one day I will do it. Just need to be more patient and to cover carefully all the lines. Here I have this cake which I did a couple of years ago. Again, it was coloring for my birthday, so I decided to do chocolate cake because I love chocolate cakes, and it was also a good practice how to color cherries and strawberries. Cherries here are definitely not the best. This year I did picture in Clara Markova with a lot of cherries on one page, and there I had really good practice, so now I know how to color cherries better. But strawberries here, they are probably the best I ever did in all my books. They are also not perfect because I wasn't able to show properly texture on each of them. Berries, but still better than in my other books. And I absolutely love those cooking or baking mice. Now they are decorating cake. Very lovely. What else I have here? Not much, but some of the spreads are really gorgeous. I just am a little bit intimidated by these pictures. And yeah, you can see that this one was made digitally. This one I'm saving until I will be more confident in my skills for coloring balloons. That's very old work. Here a little bit of watercolor for the background. It's really reassuring that you can use watercolor for spreads like this one. Definitely I wouldn't want to use their pencils for the background. And in this book we have many pictures with yummy things. But picture which always attract my attention, it's this one. I wanted to do it this year, but as usual, not enough time. Here also background with granulating watercolor, and granulating watercolor, honestly, they are created quite dirty stains on the background, but fortunately leaves are bright enough so they don't attract a lot of attention to the imperfections of the green watercolor. This one I love. It was a real pleasure to work in this color palette. I love orange on blue background, and of course owls, they are so cute. Another one which I always praise as nice Christmas work. And this spread, it was a long story. I started in the beginning of December, finished in the end of January, because some of the areas were fun to color, like this church, but some other areas, those circles, not so fun. So probably it was my last attempt to do, at least in time last, to do the whole spread in Rhapsody. My last completed project here, which I made for this year, St. Valentine's Day, I think that is this year. So it's this page with foxes on the date on the skating rink. Both are adorable. Again, I wasn't sure what to do with the background. I am not sure if you can see it now properly. Maybe I will try to make a little bit darker. So it has a little bit of background, pink in the central part and blue in the corners, and I also try to add a little bit of snowflakes, almost invisible, but I think that if you have very bright colors on their clothes, then it's okay if background is quite simple. Yeah, maybe with watercolor this background would look better, but honestly, I did foxes first, and I was so afraid to mess up with the more intense, more active background, so I decided to stick to this very boring, very simple, but reassuring soft pencils. Soft pastel usually isn't my favorite way to do background. I never managed to do it so that it doesn't look dirty, and colors usually are too pale, but it's definitely a method which you can reverse if you don't like. It's easy to delete, so it's a method for cowards, at least for me. When I feel cowardly toward more active background, I'd use soft pastel. And I think that it's all in this book. Definitely I need to do something here in the end, where pictures are frighteningly messy, but at the same time they are interesting because there are so many different objects, animals, flowers here, so it's slightly strange to look at like this one, and illogical mix of objects, but it's definitely never boring. I need to look closer at these pictures. Well, and that was all for my favorite subject picture with cutest animals. And yeah, I will try to distribute my time more between all the So that was all about my books with cutest animals. I hope that I will try to color more frequently in Manuate I don't know, maybe one day I will finish it, but at least as I have many pictures here which I want to color, I will try to spend more time with Manuet, not only with Symphony. And I definitely want to color more frequently in the book about cats' life, and that book I can definitely recommend because I love everything here, pictures and paper. And I invite you to the next part because yes, I intend to film again videos about all my books and all my colored pictures.